Newspaper review is where we get to review the dailies and analyze them. And we also have our analysts for the morning joining us live in the studio. So we're definitely just going to be talking about different issues as they affect us, different things happening at a time in our dear country, Nigeria. You can send us your comments. I see some of your comments coming in already. I love this love that you show to us. I really do love it. The fact that you send in your comments even before the show starts, it's so amazing. Tells a lot. Thank you so much. You can keep your text and WhatsApp messages coming in on 070 317 56537. 070 317 56537. Let's go about the headlines making the rounds. I'll start with The Punch. On The Punch newspapers, insecurity implements NSAS report, activists urges Southeast governors. Lagos late at JAMB registers 1.8 million for UTME, even though ASO is still on strike. Presidency, APC forms bought without my consent, says Jonathan. Fuel queues persist in Abuja, black marketers sell for 300 naira per litre. ASO strike, students protest in Lagos, Benin, vow to block National Assembly and airports. Over to the Vanguard newspapers.
Yes, on the Vanguard, world's first malaria vaccine coming to Nigeria, others in sub-Saharan Africa. Jonathan has not committed himself to 2023 race, buying forums in ex-president's name an insult, and this is according to an aide. Osun 2022 elections, opposition can't stop my re-election, Oyetola. Plateau 2023 elections, 18 APC aspirants won Lalong against imposition, threaten defection.
On the Guardian newspapers, Bauer's cross-examination ends as court adjourns 761.6 million naira alleged oil fraud suits. Nigeria confirms outbreak of monkeypox with 558 cases, 8 deaths. On Bamishe case, Lagos rearrates BRT driver for alleged kidnapping and murder. I won't keep quiet, Peterside replies Wiki. Southeast ready to produce president, says Uzodima. Over to the Nation newspapers.
Yes, and the Nation, military incursion, insecurity threatened democracy in Africa, says Gbajabiamila. Strike extension, students slam ASU and the federal government. Court to rule on Emefiele's request. Jonathan, I didn't authorize group to obtain APC form. Oyori introduces history in public schools. On this day newspapers,
PDP presidential tickets, Obimwike battle for Anambra delegates. Marketer says aviation fuel cheaper in Nigeria than other West African countries. 2023 election, Saraki meets Obasanjo, warns Nigerians against electing presidents without energy. Presidential poll, court summons INEC AGF over Emefiele's participation. Buhari urges World Bank, AFDB to activate $19 billion fund for climate investments. Over to Daily Trust newspapers.
Yes, pardon for Darie, others demoralizing. AFCC Council. FG tasks states on actions to boost electricity access. Aviation fuel. Airline operators to get 3 months supply at 480 naira. And this is coming from the NNPC. PDP presidential ticket, Obi Wike battle for Anambra delegates.
Finally, on the pen-pushing newspapers 2023 election, Jonathan joins lists of beneficiaries of sponsored nomination forms. And these are the headlines making the round this morning. I'm very sure some of the headlines, you have like different reactions and different things to say about them already, even before analyzing them. Yes, send them to us on 070 317 56537. We want to hear them. And joining us now, live in the studio, is our analyst for the morning, Obideyi Olarewaju Lobinko. Good morning, Lobinko. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Esther. How are you today?
I'm all right. I'm doing great.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm very well.
You ladies are looking very beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, so a whole lot has actually been happening. And I'm going to be starting off first with this one, ASU strike. Nigerian students are going through a lot, I must say. Nigerian students are actually going through a lot at this time. First, it was the a month strike. Then we had the one that lasted for about 2 months that just ended. And now we're going on for another one for 12 weeks. That's about 3 months. All put together, it's about 6 months of no productive work
For
Just
students, yes.
yes, for students, they just get to sit at home and fine. In as much as on social media you see students trying to throw bands and cross about these things, the pain is actually there. The pain is there. I was reading through a comment yesterday, and this student said something about my ID card don't first me graduate. Fine, it might sound very funny, but it's actually not funny when you look at it, Lubinko. And now the some students are planning their protest, Lagos, Benin, and now they're even going ahead to say they might have to block the National Assembly and airports. So maybe when we get to meet our leaders at this point, maybe they will listen to us.
It's quite unfortunate. More than almost 20 years ago, as an undergraduate, I also experienced the stuffs. Considering that there was a time we spent almost a year or more at home. That was in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And 20 years down the line, the same thing is still happening. It leaves much to wonder about the country called Nigeria, about the leadership of Nigeria. And, like I was reading yesterday, there was this post that was viral on the social media talking about the aviation industry matter quickly resolved. And that's because the politicians, they need to fly by air because the roads are not safe and the rail is not safe. Their safest bets to travel around is the air. And in less than how many hours, they resolved that issue. And the head of the House of Rep called for, and I was watching it on the news yesterday. I just but can't agree. But why would our education sector continuously be on strike? The reason is very simple. The children of those people are not in the schools. Um, we keep talking about backwardness. We keep talking about youth laziness. We keep talking. The devil's. The idle hand by default is the devil's workshop. You make people that ordinarily are at the peak of their energy. The exuberance is there, the passion is there. You make them so docile. That means you're telling them go get something else to do. The effect of this on the economy is beyond the effect on the lives of the students now. The effect of this on the economy itself is something the multiple effect is something we can't really talk about. In all of the schools, for instance, for where schools are the economy of the environment, like the school I graduated from, I'm very sure that the residents of Agowe, Jebubu right now,
Yes,
they'll
everything
be
they do
feeling
is
it,
based on that school.
of
Yes.
course. So I don't know why our government is so insensitive, and we keep brandishing, talking about 2023 politicking and all of that. It's quite unfortunate.
It is quite unfortunate, actually. But what are your thoughts on the students planning to go protest as the National Assembly
it's even
and the
coming too
airport?
late. It's coming too late.
Really?
Yes, the students need to, at times, like I would always say, back then as an Aluta leader, I say a desperate situation calls for a desperate response and solution.
Definitely.
These guys should take the walk, probably even not just to the House of Assembly, to Aso Rock. It's unfair on them. It's unfair on the future of Nigeria. It's unfair on everybody involved. Even the politicians that we tell that we talk about that their children are not here. It's even unfair on their children. I don't know. How do these guys sleep? How do these guys sleep? Yet we have the Minister of Education aspiring to be the president of the country. We have the Labour Congress, Minister of Labour aspiring to be the president of the country. What do they take us for as a people? I would be in full support of the students going on a peaceful protest, a peaceful march.
Peaceful
to the State House of Assemblies, the state governors' offices.
So, the National Association of Nigerian Students have condemned the strike extension, saying that the failure of the government to reach an agreement with ASU just highlights its lack of concern and empathy towards the plight of the average Nigerians who cannot afford private university. And now this part, now the association has called on students across the country to occupy all federal roads for a minimum of 3 hours on Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, saying that this is going to disrupt party primaries and total blockage of the National Assembly complex and access to all airports. Now, do we have to get to this point? Because when people get to say things like,
You see, we have to get to this point.
no,
Right
I was
now-
even going to say something else. So when you say you want to serve, what do you have going on? What are you thinking? You want to serve. Nobody came to call you. I can imagine, I can understand if somebody bought you the form, but if you are not in for it, then don't put in for it. If body no phone, no put body. Yes, because you've been in a particular position and you cannot do right by that office. Nigerian students don't have to get to this point where we are hitting the road to go protest for the basic things, because for as long as I know, ASU, is there any year that goes by that ASU does not go on strike? I don't think.
You see, we have to get to this point, like I said. And yes, obstruct the primaries, obstruct the activities. It's only fair because their lives have been obstructed for maybe about 6 months, and we all know time is money. And the more time the students lose, the more, I can still tell you that someone like me, the effects of those strikes still trace some of us, especially in my set. And to think that the politicians are gathering and going about like nothing is wrong, it's something that really needs to be nipped in the bud. Nobody, even I myself, I don't want to send my children to school in Nigeria again. And do you know what that means on our economy? Do you know how much we talk about? We import billions of naira from diaspora every year. That's what the diaspora brings into our economy. But do we talk about what we take out of this economy? Imagine, we were talking about Ukraine the other time, about 3,000 students. Calculate that at the average of 10 million. And this applies across all of Europe, even up to Ghana there. Why? We have, and you go across the world, you see our people, they are intelligent, they are making waves, they are contributing to the development of the world. But our government won't just allow them have that empathy to want to come to this part of the world. It's so unfair.
Okay. So looking at the ASU situation and where we've gotten to now, because it's been, this protest, if you ask me, has been a long time coming. And this is something that students have thought about consistently. For them to feel the need to do it now and do it in this form, in the way that it will affect politics as it is. Now, another thing I want to point out is something in reference to something you said about the fact that their children are not in Nigeria, studying in Nigeria, probably is another really, really fat reason why they're not even looking at fixing the situation. Now, there was a bill in March that was rejected by the National Assembly, a bill to prohibit children of politicians from studying abroad. And basically the reason it was rejected was because we, the country or the populace, have no right to determine where their children study.
We actually don't though.
That's the point. So that was the premise by which it was rejected.
Just do right by us.
No, hold on. So because I agree with that, and that bill was proposed and quickly rejected. Like it didn't even the whole process of it didn't take long at all. But here's where I'm going.
Okay.
The educational system in Nigeria is, I don't know if people use, when people say steadily increasing, do people say steadily declining? Because honestly, it's steadily declining, the quality of education generally, because it shows by the quality of graduates that we produce every year. So that's one. So we're already having issues with quality education. And now, even the system of education, just the way it should be, is even a bigger challenge. So this just tells you that the Ministry of Education is obviously not paying as much attention as they should to education in Nigeria for the future. And then conspiracy theories on social media is saying that this is intentional because they want to, how do I put it? I'm trying to find a nice word. They want to
So I saw
they want to water down the intellect of the average Nigerian young person, so that when they get to that point, they don't know better to take effective action against the government, to hold them accountable to things that they do. So which goes back to, young people are not leading, and then they'll ask you, do you even know what to do? Do you even know what to do? So there's a ripple effect about this. But the fact that these people are doing this, I feel like, okay, thank you, and get this done the right way. Because then again, if you don't do it the right way, it comes back to you that you did not strategize properly. And at the end of the day, there's no proper result. There's no proper outcome when this is done. Now, the Minister of Labor and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, initially I was thinking, okay, maybe he's on the side of he's on the side of the students rather, because he was in talks with them, trying to see, headway and all. And then the next thing he's like, okay, inquiries about this strike should be directed to the Federal Ministry of Education and National Universities Commission. So now I'm wondering, is it that the Ministry of Labor and Employment is now saying, what, this is not directly our purview?
It's not on my table.
I don't know why politicians keep playing Ludo. I mean, I think Ludo is even still
chess.
Chess is too complicated.
Too complicated.
I'm talking
maybe
about
it's an snake and ladder.
Exactly, snake and ladder. That's what they're doing with the life of those young ones. It's funny. Do you know the funny thing about those negotiations we're talking about? It's not like there's new negotiations coming.
Exactly.
It's a case of our previous agreements.
Why are you not sticking by that?
I mean, we had this back and forth, over and over and over and over again. Why can't we just stick to that? And then we come to the table. The moment we put pen to paper, everybody goes. It just start. I mean, it's the height of deceitfulness.
It kind of makes me think that the whole idea of pen to paper is strategic, just because then there was a strike. There was a strike that led to that agreement. So now I'm thinking maybe that agreement was just maybe like say we do. And now the strike ended only to begin this time again.
At what point do we actually get people who actually want to just come out and serve? So there's something that Rosanjia Musi is always saying. I'm going to refer to it.
We've always had people that want to serve, but the system won't allow them in.
The system will make up the system. People.
You see, when we talk about the system, this is what we talk about in the system. For instance, the level of education is declining. So whether we like it, now we have a renowned Agbero being the chairman of Lagos State Park. That's the system. Under that guy, we probably have professors, we have doctors working under him. The system. So how do you think the system grows? The only way to take it back is what the students are trying to do today. Disrupt politics.
Do you think this will be effective?
Excuse me. For every time,
and we actually do not want
for every time
of the NSAS protest.
Exactly.
Every time there's been a disruption in the system, I just hope it will be a very peaceful one.
Peaceful Nigerian students, peaceful.
The politicians always sit back. I mean, NSAS, I can tell you for free, politicians were extremely scared.
And for good reason.
Yes, politicians were extremely scared. They keep feeling that we are too docile. I mean, we can go beyond that. Now you look at back to. I mean, I remember even at the end of NSAS, the country was as peaceful as it had never been. There were no police on the streets. There were no last mile official on the streets. But people, when the NSAS activities was finally suspended, both the Agberos and everybody was moving around.
Mhm.
That's to tell you the Nigerian mentality.
But
But
let
listen,
me ask you this.
everything
Okay.
that culminated into
The
NSAS,
protest.
have we not gone back to it, or even worse?
All right.
That's the
Thank you
question.
very much. So what I was going to say was, Rosalie Amuti say that bad followers make bad leaders because for everybody, anywhere where you are, you're a product of a society. So this maybe just goes to say that this is how we are as a people. It is 9
I'm not
minutes.
like that. I would always say that. I'm not like that.
It is 9 minutes to 8 on Women Radio WFM 91.7, and this is the newspaper review. The newspaper review is where we get to review and analyze the dailies across different Nigerian newspapers. My name is Esther Laribe, and my co-host for the morning is Somto Titilayo Ajama. Our analyst for the morning is Obide Olarinwaju Lobinko, and we've been analyzing some of the stories we have here. ASU strike, Nigerian students, how are you holding up? Send us your text, send us your comments on 070-317-56537, 070-317-56537. Keep your messages coming in. I really just hope that we do not have to get to that point where we have a part 2 of the NSAS protest, because you know that energy when young people actually come out to demand for something,
The
that
fact
pain and
remains-
everything.
To ask him
the
something.
fact remains Nigerians don't want it. But if the government keeps pushing them in that direction, you see, as humans, no matter how docile you are, it gets to a point
And
you
you're
can't
pushed to
take
the
it
wall.
no more. Are Nigerians being pushed to the wall? The answer is a big fat yes. A very big fat yes.
Yeah, something you're going to say something.
Yes. So what would you suggest would be the best and
Approach.
strategic approach in line with the protest now? Because this is something they've agreed to do. What would be the best strategic approach to get the results that they need?
I want to believe that the Nigerian Association of, the Association of Nigerian Students still have quality leadership. Like I would always say, life is all about deliberate strategy.
Exactly.
You know? And if they have strong student union leaders, I was once one, and every time.
Why am I not surprised?
Yes, every time I look at the feats we achieved as in my tenure, even after I left school, the impact I had on the unionism, I still feel proud of myself. And that still transcends even into today, my relationship with my classmates, with people from my school. Why am I saying this? I just hope that the exuberance is not out of place. And I hope that the Nigerian police will live up to its responsibility
Thank you very
of
much.
protecting the citizens, not being a dog for those in government. Why am I saying that? The first responsibility of every military or paramilitary parastatals in the country is the protection of the life of the students, of the citizens, And now, this protest, is it necessary? The answer is a big yes. It's very necessary. The message needs to be sent out in a way the politicians will understand and feel the pains of these guys. I wish the policemen would act as protection for them. And I hope that some bad elements won't be injected into the protest. But that is why there's need for strategy.
Exactly.
When we talk about NSAS was only hijacked. The facilitators of NSAS, they managed it well. We saw people giving food to people. We saw people contributing and all of that. Do we need it? The answer is yes. All over the world, we've seen protests. And when it's a peaceful protest, I think it's something the government should be proud of. And then acting to the voice of the people.
All right. Yes, Somto.
Okay. I'm just going to go over to The Guardian and highlight this particular headline that says, families of kidnapped train passengers want Amici sacked. Now, 42 days into the Abuja-Kaduna train attack, where 9 people were killed and some of the 70 passengers kidnapped, families of the captives have flayed the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amici, demanding his immediate removal from office. Now, the basic point of these people is that we said it a couple of days ago, that train services have resumed because the train tracks have been fixed. And they're saying that why is that even happening when the freedom of the abductees have not been finalized? They've not been released. We haven't even heard of active negotiation. So why are we even talking about opening up the train tracks
Again.
for a new set of people to become victims? So they're basically saying that he is preoccupied with vying for political positions rather than being preoccupied with rescuing the victims. And so they're calling for his sack. Number one, do you think this is tenable? Number two, do you think this has any effect on Amechi's position as you speak?
I was watching the news yesterday, and the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka just resigned. I'm thinking, can our politicians ever be human enough to take a walk when they see they failed? Has this government failed? The answer is a big fat yes. I mean, you see, we keep looking for God everywhere, but God speaks one language. And when that language comes out, irrespective of who you are, you would know that this is God talking. What's the language? Love. Nobody gets empathy, irrespective of who you are, irrespective of how wicked you are, irrespective of how understanding you want to be. When love speaks, we would all listen. Are politicians speaking love? The answer is no.
I don't hear love.
The answer is no.
I don't hear love.
Now imagine, as the Minister for Transportation, mind you, it was the same Amechi that was saying somewhere that you guys, I mean, it was on the podium and he was telling the audience, you guys, you call us thief. And when we come, you don't stone us. What do you expect? We'll go back and be stealing. I mean,
he speaks to the docile thing that you mentioned.
You understand? I mean, he had that courage, and the funny thing is, the audience were laughing at him.
And you see that thing you just mentioned now. So, somebody made a comment. I think last week or over the weekend, somebody made a comment on social media, and the way people were just in the comments, like laughing, and I'm like, is this being insensitive, or you do not see anything in this? Because why are you laughing?
It's the desensitization thing. I've told you that before.
It's unfortunate. I mean, ordinarily, I think by now everyone aspiring for the office of the president of Nigeria ought to have resigned their political appointment. But yesterday we still heard about Emefiele going to the courts to ask for a stay of order. I mean, as the CBN governor, I mean, what gives them that courage? And who are these people? What are the psychophants that keeps pushing these guys out?
Nigerians.
No, those guys are not Nigerians. I don't want to believe they're Nigerians.
Nigerians still. So this one now, that the family members of this ones being the ones who have been abducted, calling for Amichi's resignation. First, I think we live in a society where people, for Ibn Abba will say, for some the laws are read, and for some the laws are implemented, because in some other countries things like this will happen. Nobody is going to say a word to you. You will just come one day, give your speech, and resign, because you know you've not done right by that office. But in this case, people have lost their lives. Some people are staying in captivities. Yes, like you rightly said, we've not really had words or conversation around getting them released. And now the railway services are back on. Are we just going to move on like nothing happened? We're talking about human lives.
You know, I was listening to the representative of our family talk yesterday, and she was like, everything has returned back to status quo.
Forgetting that
like
people's lives are in danger.
Nigerians had forgotten about this. And you know what crossed my mind? This is what Nigeria has become. Any balumo.
So what does that mean?
Na person we touch, na sabi. Like at the end, I mean, God, why is there no more human empathy in this part of the world? Why?
If there's anything,
Everything happening is just because of lack of empathy.
humanity, love for humanity,
we
because
talk about education, we talk about medical, we talk about transportation. I mean, give me one sector that is thriving in the country, except for the political sector.
Okay, but something was said yesterday about open conversations and social media courts and all of this not culminating to any results because proper procedures are not being followed. Now, if these people are going out with placards and they're calling for Amaechi's resignation or sack, call it what you will, but they're basically saying you've done a terrible job, you haven't rescued our people, we live in fear every day, we don't know what's happening, get out of this office. So if that's what they're saying, are there any specific procedures, effective legal procedures that they can take that maybe can get them any step further from where they are now? Now, I know that even in the light of this question that I just asked, I know that these people are mostly underprivileged, or these people they possibly do not even have the means, the families now, not the people themselves, do not have the means to, rally together, come up
follow
with
a lawsuit and all of that.
and all of that.
I'm happy.
So where do we go with
I'm
that?
happy you said that.
So, but what can really be done?
I'm happy you said that. With all that is on the plate for the common man, the only thing the common man has to defend himself is the voices. The voices in terms of writing where they can write, talking where they can talk, protesting where they can protest, and all of that. I mean, I think I've had the luck of having to go on a legal suit, maybe one or two, and I know it's not a small feat, aside the adjournments and the cost attached to it, and the sitting allowance of your lawyer.
By the time you think about all of this,
the funds, when you think about the funds alone,
it can be harrowing. And like I said, there was once a time I had a transaction with someone, and we're going back and forth. They ought to have made the payments based on agreement, and it got to a point I said, I have all the documents, we signed this MOU and all of that. The next thing they told me is go to court now. Go to court. If you get to the court, who do you want to meet there? Are we not the one there? And I gave myself brain. And they took their time, and that's the truth. As an entrepreneur, I'm not even so much eager to keep pushing because of all these bottlenecks that could easily be resolved.
Yeah, let's take some of the messages that we have here. Rowan from My 12 says, good morning.
Oh,
good
that's
morning
my
to
friend.
you. The most important thing to politicians right now is the 2023 elections. A lot of the youth today are social media youth. How can we use social media to disrupt politics? We need to start to boycott campaigns, not only for politicians who are doing their jobs, but also for politicians who are silent on pertinent issues. You are either for us or against us. No more sitting on the fence. He also says, Igbo citizens should call out bad Igbo leadership. Yoruba citizens should also do same to their Yoruba leaders. This message is from Tony in Birmingham, and he says, I am urging former President Goodluck Jonathan not to fall for this Greek gift, but instead remain a statesman that he is currently.
We're definitely talking about that.
This one is from Mr. Jimo in Akute. He says, good morning to you all. Good morning to you too. Please, about ASU, we all know that some of our big men and women in this country can actually settle the forge that ASU needs if they really love our youth as they claim. After all, they are now buying forms for 100 million naira. I am appealing to them to please support the government to settle ASU, and Nigerians will not forget them forever.
Just imagine the funds raised from forms already in APC. pumped into us. So are we going to be saying what we're talking
Absolutely
about?
not. Resolved ASAP.
I mean, some were saying that price is high, and I just looked at it. Inside Arepo here, a 5 bedroom duplex is already selling for about 100 million. You go to the Omoles, it's selling for. So that money is actually no money. It is because they intentionally hoard money. I mean, when you look at the value of Naira in this, I mean,
Another message here is from Yabo in Oshodi, and it says, while other countries are experiencing global development in every facet, year in, year out, our dear country, Nigeria, is degenerating and regressing at a faster rate day in, day out. Our leaders now choose the safest means of transportation for them and their families to travel, leaving the other means of transportation to the masses. They should know that we didn't vote for them to kill us. If those we employed to secure our lives and properties are the ones laying waste on us, then there is an issue of trust. All this can be avoided, but rather they are deliberate because they can see the results, the backwardness, selfishness, retrogression, and every sign and everything that we can see. Engineer Wale in Ikorodu says, good morning, WFM. Good morning to you too. Extension of strike by ASU is a great disaster to this nation. This government has been very, very insensitive to vital national issues. If protests by Nigerian students will be allowed to continue, it might get worse than the NSAS protest. The government should do the needful by dialoguing with the lecturers. On Jonathan's case, Mr. President, Jonathan should not succumb to pressure from those sycophants and saboteurs who are urging him to contest. Jonathan should just maintain his elder statesmanship and not dabble
it's actually
into politics.
It's actually funny that people are calling for Jonathan. Like we are so bereft of ideas that we don't measure success. We measure failure as a people. As the president of Nigeria, did Jonathan perform? I would always say the answer is no. It was under Jonathan that we had the Dazuki Gate. We had the likes of what's her name, Desiani, looks the country dry. It was under Jonathan that even his finance minister was telling us that the way the economy is being run, things will be grounded. It was under his, and yet some people go out to look for him.
Let me tell you the simple reason for that. It's like it's a case of bad versus worse, if you get what I mean.
So
it's like just like you said that they're measuring failure. So it's like we know that he probably didn't perform very well, but it's like we're in worse situations now. So people are clamoring for him to come back.
Can't we just let go of them?
Clamoring for him to come back, maybe to take us to the seemingly bad situation that we could cope with. Rather than leaving us in this dire,
when we talk
desperate
about
situation.
that he was clueless, was he clueless? The answer is yes. So what are we talking about?
But I want to link this to the fact that he is
we hear brilliant young chaps. We've had Pat Toomey in this country had contested. We have the likes of Mogalu trying to contest. We're not shifting our attention there. AFDB president is doing wonders for Africa. He's doing wonders for the world. So what are we talking about?
All right.
And someone is saying, and the unfortunate thing is for you to see how our leaders lack ideology. At times, I don't even want to call them my leaders again. For you to see how they lack ideology, somebody just cross carpets. I mean,
defects, like say easy like that. But now his media aide is saying that they did not actually call for those forms, and that he's not expressing interest. That
yes,
if he
take that headline.
Exactly. If he were, he would just come forward and say that.
Better for them.
We'll still take that headline.
But in Nigeria, I mean, there's really no smoke without fire without smoke.
All right. Comrade here says.
He said the same thing.
Comrade here says, "Good morning to you all in the studio. Good morning to you." And he says, "I support ASU strike. It is for one and for all of us. Nigeria is never broke. Our leaders do not respect us. Emefiele cannot be CBN governor and want to contest for president. At the same time, he has to resign to do one as somebody that wants to lead the nation. Please, APC these aspirants who have paid this 100 million naira. 100 million naira. Another message here is from Ulushoga Ajayi in Ikorodu, and it says, I love Nigerian politics and politicians. They are the best at this game of politics. I am really enjoying the suspense and drama going on. In 2 weeks, all of this drama will end. Let's calm down, please. I see those who made enemies because of Nigerian politicians. Nigerian politicians are smart.
God bless that man. He had said it up.
Additional Wasiu in Ikorodu says, good morning to you all in the studio. Good morning to you too. And he says, it is rather unfortunate that all of this is happening during the time of PMB. Minister for Justice distributing SUV to people in Kebbi State, CBN governor contesting for president, killing ongoing everywhere like no place in Nigeria, and Nigeria has no leader. My advice to Nigerians, let everyone put pressure on this federal government to decentralize our security so that each region or state can have their own police separately and protect their own people from killings. Another one here, he also says, I think Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwa is among the presidential aspirants of PDP who wants to be president of this same country, Nigeria. And this same man could not provide security for public schools in that state to the extent that the state did not have any student seats for this year's WAEC in Sokoto State. And such a person wants to contest for presidency.
I read a post yesterday about Bukola Saraki.
Okay.
You know, because I'm a medical doctor, I promise that if I become the president of Nigeria, no Nigerian will have to pay for medical. And I'm like, as the Senate president, as the governor of Kwara State, you didn't even put that on the table. And I mean, what do these guys take us for?
We still have more messages coming in. This one is from Chooks in Ikeja. Good morning to you, Chooks. And he says, please, which Rotimi Amici are we talking about? Is it the same Amici that told Nigerians that he joined politics in order to avoid unemployment, but was bold enough to join the clubs of Private Jet Owners Association after his ex-speakership for about some years and 8 years as a governor? Well, Nigeria is the only country where I know that politicians get rich overnight without any consequence for honesty. Meanwhile, there is urgent need for Nigerians to get together to rescue this nation before it is too late. He also says that I hope Goodluck Jonathan does not ridicule himself and this country. Another message here is from Rosendia Mitin in Lakpere. Good morning to you. And it says, imagine Zamfara and Sokoto with sitting governors and ministers of education could not register one single student for WAEC while the terror torn apart Borno is beating Nigerians' imagination. What could have gone wrong with this state? APC, PDP have failed woefully and should not get a single vote come 2023 if Nigerians know what is good for them. Keep your text and WhatsApp messages coming in on 070 317 565 37 070 317 565 37. Talking about Jonathan's case,
So I did mention the fact that it's a dicey situation because, you know, he's saying that he did not ask for this form, that he did not ask for the nomination form, he did not ask for the expression of interest form, and that this is not directly coming from him in any way. So his media aide is specifically saying that, I like the part, I'm going to read the part where he said, if the former president wanted to contest an election, he would make his intentions clear to the public and will not enter through the back door. Of course, they express appreciation and all of that. And then he's saying the general public is therefore advised to disregard it. So I'm over here sitting and wondering, okay, do we just disregard 100 million naira? I mean, how do we actually do that? Are we disregarding it in the act of, okay, he has said he's not directly involved and so he's not participating? Or does this mean he's not directly involved, but he just might still take up the form and actively contest? What does this specifically mean? Lubinko, what are your thoughts?
Whatever it means, it's an insult on the sensibilities of intelligent Nigerians.
Okay,
I
so
don't
when you
want
say
to say
that,
I don't want to say on Nigerians because obviously it's on Nigerians that attracted and having picked the form
Exactly.
for him. So, but irrespective of that, whatever the case is, Jonathan is not a solution to Nigeria's problem. So it should not even be put forward. And I'm not really interested in the intrigues of all the nomination form speaking. I mean, I know there's a bigger game being brewed up by those guys, and unfortunately, it's going to climax in the next 2 or 3 weeks, just like the last person said.
All
you
right.
know, because there'll be last person said.
All
you
right.
know, because there'll be a primary, and of course, it's just one person that's going to be
Put forward.
But what I'm really bothered about right now is, where do we go from there? You know, I think our politicians are so used to giving us sensational stories.
Exactly.
I mean, and unfortunately, our media are so used. I mean, I think there should be more reportage of what they are doing wrong. I mean, you know, than all this sensational news.
All right.
This is not leading us anywhere. I mean, the fact remains, these guys, at the end of the day, they probably negotiate. I mean, you saw the post going around recently about invest 100 million and get 500 million in 4 weeks.
Well, let's not start with that now. It is 60 minutes past 8. It is 60 minutes past 8 on your Women Radio WFM 91.7, and this is the newspaper review. The newspaper review is where we get to review and analyze the dailies across different Nigerian newspapers, and we get to talk about the issues affecting us and way forward. You can send us your comments, send us your contributions on 070-317-56537. And if you want to see what we look like, we are live on YouTube and Facebook at WFM 917. My name is Esther Alaribi, and my co-anchor for the morning is Somto Titilayo Ajama. Our analyst for the morning is Olariwaju Lubinko. Let's take this particular comment. So this one came in from the live stream on YouTube, and this one is from Oluwa Timzi, and he says, "Good morning to you all in the studio. Good morning to you. Please, do we actually have a constitution in Nigeria? Do we have educational ministries at all? If the answer is yes, then what are these bodies doing about the strike?" Well, I think the problem is because their children are not schooling in Nigeria. That is why they are not doing anything about this. I think a lot of young people feel the same way.
We've talked about that this morning.
Yes.
And it just reflects the general thoughts.
It's not even about feeling, it's the reality. You just move around. Even up to local government chairmen, their children are probably in universities abroad. The unfortunate thing is, Nigeria is so bad that even the leaders of Nigeria take their family out of Nigeria. They relocate their family seeking for citizenship. I mean, imagine that. So that they are only here for the spoils. That's what it means. That's just what it means. Look around you. How many politicians have their family entrenched in the country? Anyway, I only know about the West. But how many of them have their families entrenched? I mean,
yes, going back to Jonathan's case, because there's this other comment here from Abiola Nikeja, and he says the best decision is for ex-President Jonathan to reject the nomination form. I think a lot of people agree. This message here just came in from Titus Nikeja, and it says Esther keeps saying she doesn't want another NSAS protest, but to state the obvious, these people take us for Didirin means fools, and as a result, they have played with our future over the years. We are all growing older by the day, but the country still remains the same in bad leadership and downturn. When will the country see the bright side and the people living in peaceful coexistence? If we sit in the studio and bring different analysts to come talk and shy away from the main issues by not asking for the dividends of democracy, no one wants violence, but please, talk is cheap. Titus Nikeja, you're angry this morning. You're angry this morning. I don't know. There's this message here, no name, no location, but it says there is no smoke without fire. If it's a lie, if good luck Jonathan says he knows nothing about the form, they should stop making fools out of us.
Like I said,
this person is standing on your words,
Like I said, The CBN governor said the same thing, and for
Look
someone,
where we are.
who said the same thing to have gone to the court of law, I mean, and to be represented, especially by someone of Zekome's caliber.
No comment.
No comment. All right. Israel in Ogijo says on insecurity, Nigeria must be watchful. This time we are in is more dreadful than the past 7 years, irrespective of how short the remaining term is. If cutting off of people's neck in Igbo land attracted attention of the British, then over 70 rice farmers whose head were cut off should have been hastily called for using the Tukeno on the Sabisa forest without delay. This shows that there is a conspiracy somewhere on that issue. Someone should call Uzodima to order.
Insecurity is closer to us than we think. Yesterday I was with someone just at Allen roundabout here.
Ikeja.
Yes. His car was hit from behind. Around 9 o'clock in the evening, there were cars everywhere. You know that place is a very busy place in the evenings. And this guy came down, and like the three guys in the other car just, why would you just match your brake like that all of a sudden? And before you knew it, it was just sensitive enough to look in his car and realize one of them has entered his car. Luckily for him, he turned off his ignition and his car key was with him. They were going to circle him up in the process, and everybody passing would just think they were fighting because we jam you, jamming. He was sensitive enough to push one of them away and scream, thief, 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 thief. They all jumped into their car, zoomed off. The one in his car came down, they picked him, and all zoomed off. But by the time I was going to get into his car, his phone, everything, his purse had been ransacked, had been taken away. Before he got home, he was coming to Magboro here, to Ponchester. Before he got home, every penny in his account, I'm talking of just last week, every penny in his account had been removed. Now, imagine that kind of scenario. Allen there, I want to believe there are cameras on the traffic light that should capture something.
Things like that.
But even if he goes to report, does he even trust in the efficiency of
the system?
I mean, it's food for thought. So it's closer to us than we think. It's very close to us than we think.
Somebody I knew too was kidnapped, and then his family was contacted, and then we had to raise money for him. And he was pretty young, and this is in Lagos as well.
The youngest sibling of
and then I'm wondering what's really going on.
My wife's friend was also kidnapped. I was just released recently. A friend of mine had been kidnapped. I mean, it's closer to us than we think.
Rewan in My 12 says, on a more intense note, is it possible to petition schools to nullify admission for children of these politicians? Is it possible? Let's start again. Is it possible to petition schools, like schools abroad, to notify admission of children of the politicians? Is it also possible for countries to withdraw the residence permit and citizenship given to these politicians and their families on the grounds of contributing to the destruction of Nigeria? Just thinking, I am not alone.
They buy distance. And those countries we're running to, they need our money to keep developing. I mean, when you look at the West, for instance, 75% of what built the West comes from Africa. So why would they want to do that?
Abiola Nikeje says Emefiele should have resigned if he really wants to lead this country. Why is it that many people in this country want to become president despite the failure and economy downturn we are experiencing?
The reason is simple. Don't forget that the sensitive materials of INEC is kept with CBN. And so if it has the sensitive materials, it's just a guarantee that it does not even have to contest, like the Edibo. How is
that possible? Meeting says Fulani and Al-Majiri groups coming together to purchase nomination form for Jonathan should worry rational thinking Nigerians. Does this mean that Northerners are done with PDP and want to put their weight behind APC that has failed woefully just like PDP? Until we take our country back from these people that present themselves as political leaders and politicians, we may consider let's be patriotic in these things we are doing. Please, please, let's be calming down. Okay, I can understand how everything is and how people feel about everything, but please, let's stay calm and choose our words carefully. All right, Lobinko, your final words as we wrap up this morning.
Even if you're going to give up on Nigeria, please never ever give up on yourself.
Nobody is okay. I cannot say nobody. Yeah. I am not giving up on Nigeria.
For someone like me, every day I'm giving up on Nigeria the more, but I wouldn't give up on myself. And I still believe that as an individual, I can still make a great impact to turn the story around.
All right.
So when you give up on Nigeria, please don't give up on yourself.
I won't even give up on Nigeria. So to your final words.
My final words. Okay, I didn't think about this one, but what I would say right now is the efforts that we put into doing our own things. We should direct that same energy into holding our government accountable for the things that they should do right in a regular democratic dispensation.
All right, this is all we can take on the newspaper review this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your text and WhatsApp messages. Do well to join us again tomorrow at 7:30 on Women Radio 91.7. It has been an interesting and engaging episode of the newspaper review. Yes, I understand how it feels, but let's try as much as possible not to allow these things get under our skin, because it just comes out in the way we react to things and the way we might get very, very agitated when we talk about these things. All right, this is when we say bye. I wish you a productive day. Stay safe and stay calm and be security conscious. Yes, we cannot overemphasize the need to be security conscious in this time that we live in. Join us at 9:05 on Panorama. My name is Esther Alaribe. Good morning.
Some music, it heats up your day. Stay tuned to WFM 91.7.
Hey guys, it's Simi.
Naija, stand up. It's Tenny Makanaki.
All right, I know how you talk well, brother Shaggy.
It's me, Mama G.
Okay, you don't link your NIN. Make sure you link your NIN with Glow today.
Dial star 109 hash.
Star 109 hash.
And link your NIN to your new or existing Glow number.
It's simple.
We are